Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'd love it if you could leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from around the world. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. Story 1. I've worked the night shift most of my adult life. You learn to live in that weird, in-between world, awake when the rest of the world is dreaming, watching buildings breathe in silence, hearing the hum of things no one else pays attention to. Security work is mostly uneventful. A chair that makes your back ache, a thermos of bitter coffee that never seems hot enough, a bank of monitors that flicker and hum like they've got secrets. 5 years in the business, and I'd say I've seen it all. Drunks pounding on locked clinic doors, bored kids pulling dumb pranks, even a naked man once who claimed he was Jesus and just needed a band-aid. But 2 years ago, I took a short-term gig at a small medical clinic on the edge of town. Quiet place, 2 stories, clean hallways, the kind of spot where nurses whisper and the walls always smell like antiseptic and cold air. It was supposed to be an easy few weeks. Fill in for their regular guy while he was out sick. Midnight to 6 a.m. Sit, watch, record anything weird. Simple. Until that night. It was a Wednesday. I remember because Wednesdays were always dead. Not a soul from midnight to dawn. Even the vending machine refused to take my crumpled dollar that night. I was halfway through an old true crime doc on YouTube, sipping what I generously called coffee, when the alert pinged on the main monitor. 2:13 a.m. Motion detected. Front lobby. Now, you gotta understand something. This place had state-of-the-art motion sensors. Sensitive enough to pick up a moth flapping too close to the lens. But when I flipped to the live feed, my heart stopped. There was a man standing just outside the clinic doors. Not walking, not moving, just standing. His hospital gown looked old, like the color had been bleached by 1,000 washes in time itself. It hung loose over his frame. He was barefoot, legs pale, with what looked like dark, dried blood crusted down his shins like riverbeds of something long congealed. His arms were slack at his sides, and he was staring straight into the doors. Not banging, not asking to come in, just watching. I sat up. That cold electricity, like when you think there's someone behind you, snapped along my spine. My first thought was that maybe he'd wandered out from a nearby facility. There's a long-term care home about a half-mile away, so I reached for the phone and called it in. Standard stuff. Yeah, I've got a possible escapee outside the main entrance. Male, white, maybe mid-30s. Hospital gown, barefoot, covered in what looks like blood. Dispatch asked for a replay of the footage, just to confirm. I clicked over to the feed history, rewound to the exact second the alert went off, and there was nothing. The alert was there, time-stamped, clear as day, but no man. The footage showed the empty glass doors. No figure, no motion, not even a shadow. Just the gentle sway of a ficus plant by the entrance and the cold blue glow of the hallway lights. I thought I messed up. Maybe the system glitched. Maybe I was watching the wrong feed. I flipped back to the live view. He was gone. I mean gone. No slow shuffle away. No footsteps. Just vanished. Like he'd never been there. My heart started racing. Not that jittery caffeine buzz. This was a deep, hollow pounding. I double-checked every feed. Rewound again. Still nothing. No sign of him arriving. No sign of him leaving. By the time the cops showed up, my palms were slick. I kept wiping them on my pants. Embarrassed. like maybe I'd imagined it, hallucinated the whole thing. But then we opened the front doors to step outside, and that's when we saw it. Smeared across the glass, just above eye level, was a handprint. Pale, greasy, smudged, like someone pressed their hand flat against the glass and held it there for a while. Right below it, just faint enough to make you question if it was real, was the outline of a forehead. You could see the shape of it, the ridge of bone, the ghost of a nose flattened slightly against the surface. The cops looked at me sideways, asked if I'd been drinking. I hadn't, not a drop. We walked the perimeter. Nothing. No footprints. No blood trails. Not even a shift in the gravel by the parking lot. I asked them to check with local hospitals, see if anyone went missing. They said they'd look into it. No one ever claimed to have lost a patient. No one matching that description was reported missing. I stayed for 3 more nights. But every time that clock ticked past 2 a.m., I felt that same hum in the air, like the room itself was holding its breath. I'd watched those monitors like a hawk, waiting to see him again. But he never came back. I quit the following Monday, left the badge, the vest, and my last paycheck on the desk, and walked out without looking back. The clinic tried calling me. I didn't answer. What was I supposed to say? That I saw a ghost? A man who only existed in the present tense? But here's the part that still wakes me up in the dead of night. Sometimes, when I'm flipping through old photos on my phone, random screenshots I don't remember taking, I find one that chills me to the bone. It's grainy, dark, probably taken through a monitor. It shows the clinic's front lobby, and standing just outside the glass is a man in a hospital gown, looking in, straight at me, and I never took that picture. Story 2. I clean a 22-story office building in downtown Chicago. It's not some gleaming skyscraper full of suits and glass walls. Nah, this place is older. Concrete bones, heavy steel, elevators, fluorescent lights that flicker more than they shine. It's quiet at night, too quiet. You get used to the silence after a while. You start to feel like you're the only person alive in the world. That's what I liked about it at first. I've been doing this job for 4 years, 5 nights a week. I clock in at 10 p.m. sharp and clock out at 6 a.m. Same routine every night. Start at the top, work my way down. Trash cans, bathrooms, vacuuming the carpets, wiping down glass doors, that sort of thing. It's a lonely job, but I don't mind. It keeps me away from people, and that's a blessing more often than not. But last winter, something changed. It started in December, when the city was wrapped in snow and everyone stayed indoors unless they had a damn good reason not to. Around 11:45 p.m., I noticed the elevator would go up by itself, always to the 14th floor. Just ding, and off it went. I'd be mopping the marble lobby floor or wiping fingerprints off the glass, and I'd hear the ding, then the mechanical hum as it rose, floor by floor. Now, you're probably thinking, someone pressed the button, right? Except I was the only one in the building. I'd locked the front doors when I started, and security hadn't been on site since budget cuts the year before. Just me, the cameras, and a few old vending machines humming in the break room. The elevator would go up to the 14th, stay there for exactly 1 minute, then come back down. The doors would open with a hiss. Empty. Every single time. I checked the camera feeds. Nothing. Just the elevator doing its thing, like it had a mind of its own. After a week of this, I started timing it. 11:45 p.m. On the dot. Every damn night. I talked to my supervisor. She said there was no 14th floor. I blinked at her. What? She laughed like it was some joke. Superstition, she said. You ever notice how elevators skip from 12 to 14? Old buildings used to do that. Some people thought the number 13 brought bad luck. No, I told her. It goes to 14. The button's there. I've seen it light up. She frowned. That can't be right. So I went back. That night, I stared at the elevator panel. Sure enough, there was a 14, lit up like any other number. I pressed it. Ding. Up we went. When the doors opened, it was pitch black. I didn't step out that time. Just stood there with my hand on the door close button, my heart hammering in my chest. But a few nights later, curiosity got the better of me. Curiosity always does, doesn't it? It starts with a little itch at the back of your neck. Then it grows into a whisper, then a shove, until you're doing something stupid, and you know it's stupid, but you do it anyway. At 11:44 p.m. on a Wednesday night, I rode the elevator up. I wanted to be inside when it moved, just to see. When the clock struck 11:45, the button for 14 lit up by itself. I didn't press it. The elevator just started moving. I swear to God, I felt the temperature drop by 10 degrees as we passed the 12th floor. My breath fogged the glass. The lights in the ceiling flickered. Something about the air changed. It felt heavier, greasy almost, like the inside of a deep freezer that hadn't been cleaned in a decade. When the door slid open, the floor was dark. No lights, just shadows and this awful silence that made my ears ring. But I stepped out. I don't know why. The carpet was damp beneath my boots. That was the first thing I noticed. Not wet, but soaked. Like someone had dumped a bucket of water and never cleaned it up. The walls were the same beige as the other floors, but stained. Faded handprints ran along the length of the hallway. I whispered, "Hello," and the word barely left my lips before I regretted it. Something moved to the far end of the hallway. A dragging sound. Not fast, not sudden, just slow, deliberate footsteps, like someone was pulling their feet across the carpet. I froze. Another step, then another. I turned back toward the elevator, but the doors had closed. I slammed the call button. The lights overhead flickered, and for a split second, I saw something in the reflection of the polished steel doors. A silhouette. Tall. Wrong. Its arms hung too low. The shoulders were too narrow. The head too small, like a man stretched and distorted. It stood at the end of the hallway, just watching me. It didn't move. Not yet. But I heard it breathing. Shallow. Raspy. Wet. The elevator dinged. The doors didn't open. I hit the button again. Nothing. Behind me, the dragging steps got faster. I started screaming at the doors, pounding on them with both fists. Open. Open up. Finally, the door slid open, and I threw myself inside. Hit the lobby button so hard I split my knuckle open. The thing was still coming. I couldn't see it clearly. It stayed in the dark. But before the door shut, it did one last thing. It tilted its head, just a little, like a dog hearing a strange sound. Like it saw me, knew me, and maybe remembered. I didn't sleep that day, or the next. When I came back that night, the 14th floor button was gone. Gone. Where it had been, there was just smooth metal. No label. No light. I checked every panel in the building. Every elevator. Nothing above 13. I even looked at the building plans online. The top floor is 22. The 13th floor is labeled as mechanical storage. There's no 14th listed, not even a blank space. I asked the new security guy, fresh out of training, if he ever saw the elevator go to 14. He said no, but sometimes, late at night, the lights on the 13th floor flicker for a second. Then everything gets quiet. You ever notice that? I didn't answer, because now when I ride the elevator, I don't look at the panel anymore. I stare at the doors, waiting, listening, and sometimes, only sometimes, I swear I feel it riding just behind the walls, following me down. Story 3. I worked the night shift at a gas station off Route 17, about 15 miles outside the city. It's a lonely stretch of road, the kind of place that disappears from memory as soon as you pass it. Most of our customers are long-haul truckers, the occasional drifter, or folks too tired to realize they've driven into nowhere. You learn to live with the silence out here. It's thick and constant, broken only by the low hum of fluorescent lights and the buzz of the soda machine that always sounds like it's choking on its own breath. Sometimes, the ice machine rattles in the corner, like something inside is trying to get out. That night, the night I can't stop thinking about, started like any other. Slow, cold, the smell of burnt coffee and cheap floor cleaner hanging in the air. Midnight had come and gone. I was halfway through a gas station hot dog that tasted like regret when it happened. The payphone outside rang. Now, let me tell you something. That payphone hasn't worked since the early 2000s. We don't even have a landline anymore. It's just there for show now, bolted to the side of the store like a fossil from a forgotten time. Dusty, cracked receiver, wires frayed and snipped clean at the base. There's no way it could have rung. And yet it did. Loud, sharp, one solid ring that punched through the quiet like a scream in a library. I froze. The hot dog slipped out of my hand and hit the floor with a wet thud. I stared at the phone, half expecting it to be some weird hallucination brought on by insomnia and mystery meat. Then it rang again, against every instinct screaming inside me. I stepped outside. The cold hit me like a slap. Frost clung to the windows, and the moon hung too low, too close, like it was watching. The phone rang again, third time. I picked it up. The plastic was icy, like it had been buried in snow. "Hello," I said, trying to laugh like it was a joke. But my voice cracked. Static. Not the usual kind either. It hissed and popped like someone breathing through a cracked mask. Then a voice, female, barely a whisper, like she was hiding in a closet somewhere far away. "Don't let him in." My heart nearly stopped. "What?" I said, backing away. "Who is this?" The line went dead. I stood there, frozen, the receiver still pressed to my ear. The cold had sunk into my bones. I turned to look at the wires again. Still cut. Still dead. Then I heard it. The knock. Not loud. Not frantic. Just a slow, steady tapping against the front door. I turned around, and my blood turned to ice. He was standing there. A man, if you could call it that. His skin was pale, not white but wrong, like dried clay, like something unfinished. His eyes were sunken, mouth too small, no expression, just blank. He wore an old brown duster coat that looked like it hadn't been taken off in decades. He knocked again, same rhythm, tap, tap, tap. I stayed rooted in place, just inside the glass. He didn't blink, didn't move, just stood there waiting. I finally found my voice and said the dumbest thing I could think of. "We're closed." We weren't. We never close. He didn't react, just stared. Then, slower this time, another knock. Tap, tap, tap. I stepped back. I said, "We're closed." Still nothing. I reached behind the counter and grabbed my phone. No signal. Of course. I tried the store's emergency landline, a backup rigged through our security system. Dead. I looked up. He was gone. Not walking away. Not fading into the night. Just gone. No sound. No footsteps. 1 second he was there. The next, nothing. Like a bad dream you wake up from too fast. I waited, heart pounding, gripping the bat we kept behind the register for drunks and shoplifters. Nothing happened for the rest of the night. When morning finally came and the sun started to bleed over the horizon, I called the sheriff's department. 2 deputies showed up. Old guys who'd probably seen more than they let on. I told them everything. Didn't leave anything out. They listened without interrupting. When I finished, one of them asked what time the call came in. 3:28. I said, "What?" He glanced at his partner, then looked back at me. 3 years ago, same gas station, same night shift, guy named Carl went missing. Never found him. Only thing we did find was the front door left open and the payphone off the hook. I told him it's not even connected. He nodded slowly, like he already knew that. After they left, I went back out to the payphone. The receiver was dangling off the hook. Not like I left it. I know I hung it up. That night, I stayed home, called in sick, tried to sleep. But the next night, I went back in. Stupid, I know. But you can't just leave a job like this. Not unless you want to end up with no gas money and nothing to eat but chili. 3:28 came. The phone rang again. This time, I didn't answer. It rings every night now. Always at 3:28. Just one ring. Sometimes 2. If I ignore it, nothing happens. But if I pick up, if I hear that voice again, I don't think I'll be able to put it down. And I know, one night, he'll be back. And I might not be fast enough to look away. The last thing I'll hear might just be a knock.